y'all had a good break. All right, your next talk is coming from David Hawthorne, doing a post-incident review, more security, DevSecOps stuff, which is super important, which is why we saved it for day 2. All right, David, come on up. Can we give a round of applause for David? Thank you, man.
Yeah, so my name is David Hawthorne. I'm Director of Cloud Engineering at O3 Solutions. My links are up there. I'll have a slide at the end from that. I came here from a little place just south of Asheville, North Carolina, called Hendersonville. We're about halfway between Lake Lure. You may not have heard of us, but you may have seen us on TV. O3 Solutions is the market-leading agile project management software built specifically to support advanced work packaging. Basically, if you have a giant construction project and you want to deliver that on time and on budget using our software, you can do that. We're pretty big. We're global. We're in tons of different countries, tons of different continents. And the reason we're here today is that security is a kitchen table issue. This is a story about how we built an information security management program on a low budget, made our audits suck less, and how we improve our communication to, from, and with security. As developers, we tend to build hello world and worry about securing it later. And I propose that we build hello secure world instead. That's why I'm excited about opinionated things like .NET Aspire and other resources that can improve our security posture. 3 years ago, Colonial Pipeline happened. But more than that, we've probably all been caught up in a data breach. We know somebody that has had their identity stolen. And so now security is top of mind, whether it's the kitchen table or the enterprise. So we've got a ton of lessons learned. I'm not going to go through all of these. This could easily be an hour-and-a-half long talk or a week. But what I do hope is that no matter where you're at in your journey, you're going to acquire some things that you can take back with you to your own teams. Now, we've got a lot of lessons learned, but if you follow Blameless, it's not the why, but the how that's important. Don't worry, I'll dig into this wall of text soon, but for now, let's take a look at something really critical. And that is, how many of you feel like this is your security? You're working on something, and whack! Okay, I got a lot of laughs there. That's good. Y'all know what I'm talking about. This talk's going great so far. I've seen security done right, and I've seen it done bad, but I'm no CISSP or any other certification. I'm just a factotum that's worked in a lot of industries and compliance environments. So naturally, at a startup, guess who got volunteered to get us SOC 2 compliant? For those of you that don't know, SOC 2 is a compliance framework, especially for cloud, that functions on 5 different domains: security, availability, lots of good stuff. But why do we need SOC 2? Right? As a startup, we need to be able to demonstrate to our clients that we are secure. And the way we do that is with an attestation, not a certification. Try explaining that to marketing. Right? But what you get at the end of SOC 2 is this nice little letter, about that thick, that says that you have these policies in place and that you actually followed them. And at the end of the day, you can be trusted with customer information, sensitive data. And that's a good thing, because it gives us a bar that we can meet. So where we started when this incident began, we had a small team, 3 of us. I'm the handsome one over there. And we had a strong DevOps culture. We had CI/CD with tests. It was a developer's dream to work here. And what that enabled us to do was rapidly deliver value and features to our clients and enable us to land those deals and scale the business. We also had a fully integrated operational data store Kind of like what Dwayne was talking about just a few minutes ago, where all of our different systems are tied into a central repository, a single pane of glass. If this sounds awesome, it is. I highly recommend this. And we're built on lean and agile, and we do it right. We don't do scrum fall. That's waterfall with ceremonies. It never works. And it's really enabled us. But in a small team, you've got to do things, and it's a lot difficult to have a lot of eyes on a problem, and that can create some constraints, right? One of the biggest things I learned was that it is far less boring to tell somebody for the first time, rather than saying, did you read the policy? Why didn't you do it right? Nobody needs that. So my hope is here that you can take away some of these tips so that you can take it back home. And the first tip I've got is you can be a police officer. And that's the security program you end up with. Police officers are barriers to innovation, and for good reason. They're there to protect it at all costs, right? And we should protect things. Say the auditors, things come across a lot differently if you shift your perspective. I heard this topic from a guy named Marcel de Vries, and he had a lot of real good thoughts. You want to create a center of excellence, right, for your security. Integrate dev and ops and security into a center of excellence. But how do you make a COE when you're a COE of one? It's really hard, and it all comes down to interpersonal relationships and interactions. What you need is a lifeguard. A lifeguard's going to jump into the deep end of the pool and teach you to swim. And if you get in trouble, they're there to pick you up and carry you back to shore. Lifeguards, not police, make all the difference when we're dealing with multiple teams and security. It sounds a lot different to say, when the audit comes along, the auditors are going to ask for this, than to say, you have to make a CM for that, right? You have to make a change management ticket. Oh, you didn't fill in this one field. Shift your perspective a little bit, right? Evidence requests, they're going to be looking for evidence of review and change management and proper procedures. But how do you keep from stopping the innovation on your team? If you got to wait 3 days to get a CM approved, good luck, right? So what we end up doing was coming up with a glass break. In case of emergency, break the glass, right? So now the developers can go and create their own CMs, get them approved by the people that actually know what the CM is doing, and then hit a serverless function, and if all the fields are filled in and everything's right, and it's according to policy, because we've got all that baked into our Jira templates, you got production access. And the best part about this is you don't have the issue of missing steps that cause exceptions on a report. Another side benefit, you've lowered your attack surface, right? Production access is fine. We have production accounts that we can log into the UI side, right? We're not seeing any different data. So why are we being police and saying everybody's locked out? It doesn't work for anyone. So glass breaks, cool trick. 3 years later, what our security program looks like and what our culture looks like is that it's sustainable. We can live with this. We can improve it. We can grow. And it's not dragging us down and stopping us. The business became aligned with our security. And on top of that, we doubled the size of the team easily on technical contributors while increasing the size of the company a lot. But it still worked. So what went well? One of the biggest shifts that we have to make, especially in working in DevOps, is we should be rethinking things, right? And finding the extra value inside of it. It takes about 6 months for any feature that you release to production to be truly adopted. People might be using it, but they never really truly understand it for about 6 months. Establishing a security mindset and a security culture is no different. It's going to take people time to catch up. We got audit ready in 1 month. If you're considering SOC, do not try to do this. Give yourself about 90 days. And the other thing to consider is that just because you're audit ready doesn't mean those auditors are going to be done with your final report. It took us about 90 days to get our final report back. But in the end, it enabled us to do rapid IAC development. We're going to talk about how we enabled that. We expanded our analytics capabilities. But I want to talk about what didn't go well if you're considering going the SOC route. First thing we did was look for some automated solution, right? Start looking for a vendor. These solutions are popping up constantly. They're advertised everywhere on all the podcasts that I listen to. They're new, they're shiny, but do they really work? Do they actually make you secure, or do they allow you to pass an audit? I would always lean on, let's get secure and let the audit take care of itself. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we are trusted with our customers' data, and we need to be good citizens with it. So here's how automated compliance goes. You end up getting some ideas, like audit ready in 2 weeks. They've since quit advertising this. I have no idea why. Yeah, somebody got that joke. We'll integrate your systems. What's the impression of that? Less evidence requests, right? You're not taking tons of screenshots. And then expenses. All you have to do is buy a pen test, right? Pay an external vendor for a pen test. And if you did it that way, you're gonna have a bad time. You're French frying when you should pizza. In the end, what we're looking for is easy buttons. And I like easy buttons. Easy buttons keep time linear. They allow me to stay in my flow, and they shape my focus so I'm not getting a lot of noise. Now, speaking of expenses, if you're considering going compliant, look, you all know security is a premium feature when it shouldn't be a feature. It's a requirement, right? But you can do this, and you can do this easily in a budget. So I did the only thing any tech person could do with this, and I made you all an iceberg. Yes, you need a pen test. Yes, you need vulnerability scans. The ones that have asterisks are optional, in air quotes. You can do free vulnerability scans. You can do paid vulnerability scans. You can do both, and that's usually a happy path. If you are just running POS services like we were, then guess what? And you just had your app service or your hosted compute restricted to port 443, you're getting a firewall. You're getting an IDS, you're getting a gateway, you're getting a load balancer to integrate all that. And that costs money. Give yourself at least 10K extra on top of whatever you're paying for. You got to turn on database auditing. Not just that, I've now got to pay to store all those logs so I can produce them for the auditors. Security awareness training. You don't want me doing security awareness training because I will red team the company and nobody likes that, right? Because then you're being a police officer and not a lifeguard. And there's more to that. So in rethinking how we evaluate a lot of these things, you identify the need, right? We need security awareness training. But the next step shouldn't be go look for a vendor. It should be collaborative inclusion. Hey, HR, we're looking at this vendor, and did you know that they have these things on lawful hiring and these other modules that we can give to managers? And HR turns around and goes, I'll split the budget on that, right? Moreover, you end up with org-wide adoption. People know what you're working on, and you know what they're working on, and we can all speak the same language. And then finally, share. Because once you share, the natural thing that happens next is you come up with more needs. People start opening up and telling you what they need. One of the tools we took a look at that could provide more value than just an OWASP top 10 scan was SonarQube. We integrated this with our CI/CD pipeline, and it gave us a great inside look at a lot of our code vulnerabilities when it comes to AppSec. And that's really cool and really awesome. They detected a DDoS vulnerability if a cat sits on somebody's keyboard. Love it. However, there's another benefit. We can create quality gates with SonarQube. And now in the startup world where we're scaling and scaling and scaling the team, the two other guys that I talked about earlier, they can focus and stay in their flow and not have to deal with, well, you know, why did you do this? This is kind of basic. We all do that, right? We all do something stupid in our code at some point. Wouldn't it be nice if it just got taken care of before it landed on your desk for code review? Another tool that really helped us, and this actually redefined how we did things, was SteamPipe. I originally heard about SteamPipe on the SweetOps podcast. And most of these automated compliance tools are a glorified to-do list with either OS query or SteamPipe. And they're checking your resources left and right. I'm a data guy, so I love this stuff. I've got a Postgres database now with all of my operational information, and I can query it in a language I know. So now I can go and say, hey, what's all the resources that are misconfigured? And start standardizing that. More on that later. They also offer dashboards. If you're considering going a compliance framework, this is a quick insight into where you stand today. Now, there's going to be a lot of false positives and a lot of differing opinions. But if you need a free, easy snapshot of where you stand compared to these, it's easy. Just run a dashboard, and you're good. No matter where you are in your journey, SteamPipe is going to have a module for just about any enterprise system. So now you can, let's say management comes along and says, hey, we want to know how many Jira bugs to stories are in your sprint. Well, let me write a query for that. And one thing we learned during the SOC experience and getting compliant is that you're never done, right? Management has this idea that, hey, we got our attestation letter. We're good. But that's never the case, right? Because if you have a vulnerability, now you have to assess the risk of that vulnerability. One of the things that drives me nuts is you don't have to remediate it, right? But you do have to assess it. For us, one of the things that help is that we actually put our security issues in as bugs. And in Agile, we put our bugs at the top of the sprint, and they get worked first. The other thing with SteamPipe that you can do is spin up a container instance and do your access reviews, right? I spin up container access, container instance. Nobody's ever going to automate your access reviews for you. You can't rely on a vendor on that. There's too much delta between your resources and your resources and your resources to have the full context to be able to automate it. But you can using SteamPipe. So we load up all our queries, hit the container instance, and we shove it into a data warehouse. That is really awesome for me trying to manage this security thing, because now I can throw it into Excel with a few concats, and voila, right? But moreover, I can get a Delta report now. That means that every week I get a report of the changes, and if something looks off, I fix it right away. Then, when my usual interval comes up, I'm good to go. There are so many free tools out there. It's like the world is telling us to build hello, secure world. All you have to do is go look. If you want some other ideas of free security tools and how to do this on a budget, I've got some recommendations here. All the slides are up on GitHub, and I'll share that at the end. But sometimes it's the tools you already have that are the best tools for the problem, right? When was the last time any of you all ran audit using your package manager? Raise your hand. Okay. Don't worry, the internet can't see you. For me at least, integrating this into the pipeline is easy, right? NPM audit, what's the exit code? Oh, go upgrade your packages, right? Instant feedback loop for the developers to mitigate it themselves. And then when was the last time you checked your licenses? There's CLI tools out there for just about any platform you're in that will output your licenses. And you don't want to be doing this at the 11th hour for an investor. So this has really helped us out by checking our licenses and checking our packages as part of our CI/CD pipeline. Now, on to my favorite topic, evidence requests. If any of you are in compliance, you've probably taken hundreds of screenshots, right? Auditors love to see things with their own eyes. But if you're waiting until audit time comes to grab your screenshots, you're doing it wrong. If you look over here on the slide, I've got our time suck to the volume of screenshots we took each audit. And you can see our business growing, and what happens? More business means more screenshots. More features means more screenshots. More changes mean more screenshots. But look at the time suck. I like easy buttons because they're linear, right? They keep time linear. So what if there was an easy button for evidence requests? There is, actually. We're developers. We love writing tests. So why don't we just unit test our evidence? So right here, I've got Selenium loaded up, little console app. And all it's doing is taking a list of Jira issues that I created, going through those, taking a screenshot, shoving them into a folder that then we can review all at once. I'm not clicking 10 times, I'm clicking 3 times, right? And it gets all the crud out of the way so that you can focus on validation and ensuring that you've got the right stuff. Flipping back over to some other lessons learned. I already talked about lifeguards, not police. Treat the audit like a continuous improvement exercise. At the end, create a data room based on last year so that you don't miss anything. You know, they say do your access review, and you focus on the user accounts, and you didn't look at your network ACLs, right? So now that's a learning. That's a continuous improvement. Put that on the newspaper. Get it into your sprint, right? Aligning change management procedures to your deployment process. This can be really hard, especially if you're in a mature organization. But I gotta say, we have a change advisory board. We meet on Thursdays. It's called grooming, right? And we have all the changes already built into the sprint. So there's no real friction there for anyone other than doing the needful. Now, I won't go and dig into this entire wall of text. Again, I could talk for hours on this. But what I will say is that find me afterwards. I'd love to talk to you about it. If you've got friction on your security team, absolutely want to talk to you and talk about how we can make that better. Slides and sample code are up on GitHub. I'm Shell Ninja on most platforms. If you want to get in touch, the best way possible is go to davidhawthorne.com. I am not paying for LinkedIn Premium to get a vanity URL. That will forward you directly to my LinkedIn profile. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, David. That was awesome.